Hey, this is Wakia. I want to talk about rewriting history. It dawned on me today when I was doing a post that I have to come from a Native American or an indigenous person of this land point of view on this, first of all, because there's going to be people down the road that don't know anything. And it dawned on me and became perfectly clear that they're trying to erase history, or they're trying to rewrite history. Actually, they're rewriting and writing things as they go along. Don't know if there's any semblance of order or anything in this stuff that they're doing. Like I said in my previous video, these are all productions. Think of it as a Hollywood movie. That which you see in the media, that which you hear, that which you see all around you is a Hollywood production. And by that I mean everything is orchestrated, staged, CIA operatives, manipulation, NLP, all the stuff I've been talking about, hypnosis. It's in full gear now. I didn't realize how much in full gear it is, but virtually everything you see and hear is an act, is a lie, is a charade for a purpose or purposes that are in line with the agenda of those who have money and power, okay? And this all started a long time ago, folks. I mean, it's ancient history, but let's start with the Native Americans, and let's start with how they tricked, lied, wrote treaties for, promised things for, made sworn allegiances to people of this land, the original earth people of this land, the Lakota, the Sioux, the Apache, the Navajo, all of them, the Ute, everywhere. And they're still breaking treaties, and they're still trying to get oil, and they're still trying to mine, and they're still doing things against the natives. But see, it's bled over, like I said in my last video, to everybody now. And I want you people to realize how much they changed the history of what happened to the Native Americans, and the genocide, and the horrible way that they were treated, and the insane, monstrous things they did to them, that I've gone into on many, many shows here. And so this video is in case somebody down the road 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now digs this up and goes, hey, look what this guy's saying. Because there won't be any history books then, and there won't be places where you can find out the real truth. Hell, you can't find out the real truth now. Think about what it's going to be like 20, 30, 40 years from now when they talk about whatever's going on now, which is, and when I say 20, 30, 40 years from now, I'm assuming that we're going to be here, or that the planet's going to be here, or that civilization's going to be here, and it may not be. So I don't like people thinking that in terms of 30, 40, 50 years, unless it's your own lifespan and somehow you survive, and because anything's possible, people, with your enlightenment and your inner self. You have to go within. I've said this 100 times. Out here, everything is an illusion. Okay, and I meant that in the sense of that everything is an illusion. It's all vibratory energy. It's not real. But now it's an illusion within that illusion. In other words, they've created an illusion in this Maya, or this illusion that we live in, this life that we live in. They're creating another cartoon-like. It's almost cartoon-like when you see the shit that's happening. Like this latest France thing where they had a standoff, or a massacre, I guess. I don't even look into this stuff, so if somebody out there knows more about this stuff than I do, please feel free to comment. But here's one thing I know, that people truth tellers are already ripping that whole scenario, that whole terrorist Hollywood movie plot over in France. They're ripping that apart now with IDs where they shouldn't be. And hell, I saw a video that was filmed on the spur of the moment from a rooftop, and supposedly this was just happening and they didn't know that this was going to happen, yet there were a bunch of guys running around with flak jackets on and bulletproof vests that this guy caught on the roofs. Okay, and then he also caught cops running down a street, and they're clearly FBI or France's special forces or whatever. They have the white letters across, they're all dressed in black, running down a street right before the terrorists show up. And then there's a clip in the film, a splice in the film, and all of a sudden the cops are gone and the terrorists are there. And there's, again, people on the roof in flak. How did they know to have a flak jacket on if it was a spontaneous incident? And then there's the other thing with Noah Posner and that whole deal where his face, he was a victim at Sandy Hook, the shooting that everybody thought, man, there's something wrong with this. These are actors. Back then I was going, I'll take a wait and see attitude, see what comes out. But now this kid, this Noah Posner, shows up in his photographs over in that, when they had that Pakistan attack. Notice all these attacks happening lately, boom, 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 by supposed Islamic terrorists. Hello? Isn't that getting to be a little old? Aren't they beating a dead horse now with that thing? They'll use Islam, and they'll use the Muslims, and they'll use anybody. They'll use blacks, like in the Ferguson thing. They'll use anybody they can. Okay. Now the thing is that all this stuff that's going down is phony. So when we get into the future here, okay, down the road where they're writing history and, oh, this attack happened in France and this here and Putin was a bad guy, that's another thing, demonizing Russia again. When we get down the road here, all of that stuff that's supposedly history is phony. And that's all the kind of thing that they're rewriting history. And like I said in my post, even one geek in Ukraine who was supposedly supposed to be a official in high places in Ukraine. I mean, of course we expect this. We know they're all Nazis, just like the USA is a bunch of Nazis, or I don't know what they are. They've always been murderers, they've always been outlaws, they've always been liars, they've always been the government with the native peoples. Over and over and over again. Custer's the one that revealed that there was gold in the Black Hills, in the Pahasapa, the sacred Black Hills of the Lakota people. And next thing you know, all these idiots are trooping in there looking for gold, miners and stuff, when they're not even supposed to be in there. Well, they wanted them to go in there. And they rewrite history and they make movies like they did when I was a kid. The Indian's always the bad guy, and the cowboy's the good guy, except for a few, creative directors that saw differently and made different kinds of movies about showing the Indians in a good light. But wonder how long those movies will last. I wonder how long those movies will be in the archives. So you best pay attention to their rewriting history and their writing history. We're writing history, of course, but the history that we're writing is phony. It's not real. And none of the stuff that we're seeing on TV, this is also for people just to wake the hell up. This video should be passed around like it's gold. I'm not trying to get hits, but I'm telling the truth here. And there's people still la 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 running around day to day and doing their shopping and all this stuff. I got news for you. It's going to be a rude, rude awakening. It's going to be a rude awakening. And then I heard, yeah, here's another thing. I heard Obama came out and said, Obama, that's the president, supposedly, of this time that I'm talking about, we're in now, black guy. He supposedly said that the reason that, now I don't know if this is true, I heard it on another news, the Greg Hunter show, but he came right out and said that the reason that they lowered or lowering oil prices are, I'll get that out, oil prices are so they can take down Russia? So they can crash the economy over there? He said that? That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable that a president would admit to trying to bring down another country financially, who up to this point we've had space stations with and we've collaborated with, and all of a sudden, you know, overnight they're our enemy because of an incident in Ukraine and Crimea. All of a sudden, overnight, these people that we had the space station with and the, you know, all kinds of oil deals and everything, I mean, all kinds of trade. All of a sudden, overnight, these people are bad people. They're the Soviet Union again. They're rewriting history. They're changing it in a blink of an eye. Okay? And you got to be aware that that's what they're doing. And to come right out and say that, so does that mean that they're letting the fracking industry go to hell and take a big, you know, they're going to take a big dump on the fracking industry because they want to do something in Russia? And how does that make, now, you know, if people were reasonable, if people had anything between their ears, they would go, wait a minute here, we got cheap oil because we're trying to bring down, we can go to the gas pump now for $1.99 because they're trying to bring down another nation. So what does that do? What does that do? Think about that. Think about the NLP anchor in that. Oh, well, it's this, folks. If we go and create war and try to bring other people down, it's going to get better here. Our oil prices are going to be real low. Our commodities are going to be real low. That is a lie. And it's going to catch up with you. And think of how long they've been reaming you with high oil prices when they didn't really need to be, because if they really needed to be, how could they lower the prices as slow now? Nothing's changed. Hello? So you people really need to think about things like this and pass it on. How could they do this if this is this? It's called thinking with a reasoning mind. It's called opening your eyes. It's called being lucid and coherent with your thinking. And not trying to think that everything is a big conspiracy theory. Guess what? We're way beyond conspiracy theory. And you people that see this video after I'm long gone, or after this civilization and another one, we're throwing sticks and stones at each other. Of course, I guess you won't be able to watch this then, will you? So you better pay attention now. I don't understand why people can see what's happening, and a lot of people are talking about it, and a lot of people are. I would like to see a percentage of how many people, you know, are walking around with the lights turned off, the switch turned off in their head. I would like to see what the percentage of that is, because I talk to a lot of people that go, yeah, I know. And then there's some that go, yeah, I know, but I'm not going to do shit about it, or what can I do about it? And really, what can they do? They're in a chokehold. The government has them working, night and day just to support themselves and keep paying out blood money. Blood money. That's what it is. It's blood money that we're, as a citizenry, we're paying out to them in order for them to do their stupid shit things that they're doing. Living the high lifestyle and putting their boot heel on everybody else's neck. It's time you people rose up and did something. I mean, I've said this before, but it's either now or never. If you don't do something now, it's going to end up just like Nazi Germany. You think that the Third Reich was bad? This is way beyond that. They killed people out front. This government's killing people on the sly, with shit in the air, water, food, and just basically turning their backs on people in need. You need to think about this. You need to think about the machinations that people do and the reality of it. It's just like if you were walking through the forest, would you ignore the fact that there's wild animals roaming about? Or would you be carrying your Winchester 73 or your Colt 45 or your Beretta now? Or your whatever? So, people turn on the lights like I just did and realize that you need to gear up for a different kind of thinking. Now, am I saying you need to go out and with bandoliers on your chest and arm yourself and hide in the hills? Yeah. No, but seriously, you might have to do that. But the main thing you got to do right now is realization, is coming to like a little bit of self-realization and realizing that all this stuff that's happening on the outer perimeters of our being is not going to be healed in any particular way except by you going within yourself to that divine spark that we all were when we were embryonic, getting in tune with that, getting in tune with your higher selves, okay? The steps up the ladder, 7 steps to heaven, 7 chakras, 7 lampstands, 7, okay? And 4, spirits of the 4 directions, grandfather, grandmother. So that's 6, and then going within is the 7th. Tunkashila, Holy Spirit, Uji in the Taoist tradition, the Tao. Connect to it through your higher beings. That's the only way out of this, is in. The only way out is in, within. And the only connection that you're going to have with Great Spirit is within. It's a test, people, to see how well you can go within. But to go within, people don't even know. People don't even know. Now let me put this together here. People don't know about going within, and they live in this without, okay, but they don't know what's going on in this without, or this illusion, and the delusion in the illusion, okay? The delusion that they're creating within the illusion, they're deluding you. You have to realize all that shit first. Go, oh yeah, that's what they're doing. Okay, now I'm going to go within. Because people rarely go within, period. But if you give them a reason to go within, and see, when you go within, you have more control. When you attune to that inner energy, power, whatever you want to call it, that we all have, You have more control over your circumstances as to whether you're going to let everything affect you or not. Okay? And when you get to that point, when you get to the point where you're thinking outside the box, that's a way out of this. That's the inner eye of the hurricane, the calm part, where the walls are ripping everything to shreds. Ripping everything to shreds. I've talked about this before. So what I'm doing here is I'm not necessarily making commentary on any particular, I mean, I might mention a terrorist attack, or I might mention Obama did this, or I might mention Obama did that, or I might mention government's doing this, or what Putin's doing. Sure, I might mention that because it's part of the delusion. All this stuff that's going on is part of the delusion. So you got to go within. And that's the only way. The sword of no sword is the sword of the supreme sword, in a way. Is backing off, checking everything out, feigning, like Sun Tzu says, feign weakness, act like you're innocent, you don't know. When you do know, you have to use the same tactics they use. You have to look dark when you're light. You have to look light if it's dark. You have to, you know what I'm saying? And they're using the same thing right now. They're using the basic principles of the universe, yin and yang. They're projecting yang, light as yin, dark. Or they're projecting yin, dark as yang, light. They'll make one thing look bad when it's good and one thing look good when it's bad. So you got to get beyond concepts and beyond good and bad and beyond right and wrong. But here we are in the duality, and here we are going through this little test or illusion or whatever it is. I can't figure out the workings of Great Spirit because that will be, remain to be seen. But you gotta realize this. You gotta realize this one thing is that Spirit works through us. And if we want change, like the Apaches wanted change, they let their God use and work through them in any manner that seemed fit at the time. And there's some great stories about that. I just got a new book. It's called I Fought with Geronimo. It's very interesting. I've got tons and tons of books on the Apaches, but I'm always digging up something new about some guy who lived to be 90 years old, and he wrote his memoirs about it, and he went to prison, and he eventually became a quote-unquote Christian through their brainwashing, but he still has a good story to tell. You got to look at the story up until that point to where he took the wrong road, brother. But to him, it could have been the right road. I'm not going to condemn him for that after what the shit he's been through, but it's an interesting book. And when you read that book, it's another confirmation of how much they change history. When you hear the real oral traditions of what went on and how things started and how the blue coats or the cavalry or the white eyes changed facts to suit their own. Even right back then when they were doing it, they changed facts. Changing facts is another word for lying. I thought I'd just get this video out because I felt like it, and I felt like, yeah, I want to communicate with all the good people out there, Fozzie and Down to Earth and Fanny Dryer, or is it Fryer? Man, I always get that mixed up, but been having more conversations with them. Nat's still out there, Natalie. She'll be back soon as she gets squared away on a computer thing. And I don't even know if I should be giving out that information. Sorry, Nat. She'll be watching this eventually. She's a very kindred person, and all of you are. Some of the comments I've seen out there are amazing. They're amazing. It shows me that you guys are all on the ball. You guys realize what's happening. But this rewriting history and just the lies and the scenarios of the media, I think everybody should be in tune with and aware of, so that you can tell your kids or your grandkids, don't know what good it'll do, but you can tell them how they rewrote history, how they're rewriting history, how you have to be your own person, and you have to have your own belief system, and you have to have your own salt, okay, and courage in times that are difficult like this. So I'll leave it there today. This is Thunder, Wakia. Check out the links below. Spirit of Crazy Horse, my books are there. Listen to the Wind, Speak from the Heart, Emergence, Thunder in the Wind. And check out my other websites too. And if your heart moves you, please donate to keep me on the ball here with the videos. Although I know I'm not that regular sometimes, but then, you know, what I say, when I do come on, I try to say things that are meaningful and important. One other thing I noticed that Gregory Mannarino, who used to be the financial guy that went on, he ain't a bad guy. I've talked to him. He's a Jersey boy. I was born in Jersey. I didn't get to Arizona until I was 6 months old. But my people are East Coast tribes. But anyway, I digress. But I notice he's back on free again. And he supposedly he got everything that he's ever done on his videos hacked into and deleted. I don't know if that's true. I mean, you can only go by what they say. You can only take them by their word. But I don't know how that would be done. But yeah, I do on YouTube. I guess anything's possible. So anyway, I guess I'll leave it there today. This is Thunder, Wakia. Adios, amigos and amigas. Vaya con Dios.